Today, we're diving straight into the fascinating clinical data and biological mechanisms behind the LifeWave Silent Nights patch. Finding effective non-pharmaceutical sleep interventions is an absolutely massive focus in modern wellness right now. So we're going to look directly at the science of a non-transdermal, FDA-registered device that actually uses light, rather than chemicals, to signal your body to rest.
The sleep dilemma. We live in an era where poor sleep is literally an epidemic, and for a lot of people, the chemical solutions out there often feel just as problematic as the disorder itself.
Now, I want you to really think about this for a second. What if you could naturally add 2.5 hours to your sleep tonight? It sounds like a pretty bold claim, right? Especially if you're someone suffering from chronic insomnia. But we aren't just tossing around hypotheticals here. We're going to look at the exact clinical trials that achieved precisely this result. To really understand why this is such a game changer, we have to contrast the approaches. Traditional chemical sleep aids, well, they often leave users with that dreaded, groggy morning hangover. But this non-chemical approach leverages light to naturally treat insomnia. The Silent Nights patch is completely non-transdermal. That means absolutely zero drugs or chemicals are entering your system. It works purely in synergy with the biological mechanisms your body already has.
The phototherapy solution. The crucial point here is understanding exactly how a small patch can use light to improve your sleep architecture without putting anything at all into your bloodstream.
The whole mechanism relies on something called photobiomodulation. Now, I know that's a mouthful, but essentially it's a scientific method that uses specific narrowband wavelengths of light to mildly stimulate targeted physiological processes. Think of the patch as a frequency-specific reflector. Unlike broadband infrared products, these patches use natural, optically active organic materials to bounce very specific wavelengths of light right back into your skin.
Clinical reports actually describe these small nanoscale structures as passive molecular antennas that are activated by the oscillating electromagnetic field of the body. In simpler terms, your own body heat, your infrared emission, is the power source. The patch catches that heat and reflects back a specific light frequency to trigger a metabolic reaction. It's brilliant. Anatomically speaking, our bodies have this incredible, redundant communication system. While your nervous system handles bioelectrical signaling, your body's meridian system, which is made up of collagen fibers bonded with minerals, actually conducts infrared light and biophotons. It acts exactly like a physiological fiber optic network. By placing these patches on specific nerve clusters or acupuncture points, that reflected light travels through these pathways to trigger a systemic whole-body response. Clinical proof of rest. Because theory is great, but what's really fascinating is the concrete, hard data from double-blind, placebo-controlled trials. Third-party testing clinics, like DermScan, facilitated some highly rigorous evaluations. They specifically looked at subjects suffering from long-standing, chronic insomnia, who were averaging under 6 hours of sleep a night. These were people in desperate need of a safe intervention. And the results? They were profound. After 4 weeks of use, participants experienced a highly significant average increase of 2.53 hours of sleep per night. Let that sink in for a moment. Over 2.5 extra hours of sleep generated simply by reflecting light into the body's meridian system. To put that number into perspective, that equates to a massive 66% total average increase in sleep duration. When you're evaluating clinical interventions for insomnia, seeing a 66% improvement without the use of chemical sedatives is an absolute staggering statistical achievement. But it's not just about duration, is it? It's about quality. Based on standardized sleep scale improvements, an incredible 88% of users improved their overall length of rest. 80% reported better overall sleep quality, and crucially, 72% experienced a reduction in daytime sleepiness. They weren't waking up with that pharmaceutical hangover. They were waking up truly restored. So you might be wondering how light actually changes the body's internal chemistry, biochemical rebalancing. A pilot study conducted comprehensive urine and hormonal testing over a 7-day period. They tracked 22 natural amino acids and major neurotransmitters to see exactly what this specific frequency of light was doing under the hood. What they found is beautifully simple. The patch first stimulates a highly significant increase in serotonin. Now, serotonin is a vital neurotransmitter, but more importantly for our topic today, it is the direct biological precursor your body requires to manufacture melatonin, which is the master sleep hormone. Because of this natural biochemical cascade, participants under the age of 30 demonstrated a staggering 202% increase in natural melatonin production over just 7 days. By signaling the body to produce its own melatonin, the patch naturally rebalances the sleep-wake cycle without you having to rely on synthetic melatonin supplements.
Furthermore, poor sleep is almost always driven by an overactive nervous system, right? Well, gas discharge visualization, or GDV testing, confirms that the Silent Nights patch actively calms the body. It supports a downregulation of stress parameters, specifically calming the hypothalamus, the autonomic nervous system, and the polyvagal system. Subjects also reported a significant reduction in negative mood disturbances, fostering the exact kind of deep relaxation required for restorative sleep.
The evening protocol. The protocol is super straightforward. It's specifically intended for evening use only. You apply a single patch right at bedtime, and you just remove it when you wake up. The key here is the third step. Clinicians recommend a simple rotation strategy over your first few nights to figure out exactly which placement gives you the deepest sleep.
So, here are the key calming acupuncture points utilized in the clinical studies. First, CV6, which is located on the lower abdomen just below the belly button. Next is GV24.5, that's the third eye position, directly between your eyebrows. Then, right liver 3, which is on the top of the right foot. And finally, right stomach 36, on the outer right leg below the knee. By rotating through these precise locations, you leverage your body's natural energetic meridians to maximize the phototherapy effect. As we wrap up this explainer, consider this. We've just seen a 66% increase in sleep duration and massive spikes in natural melatonin production, all achieved simply by reflecting specific light frequencies back into the body. As we continue to look for ways to optimize our health, is the future of restorative sleep really going to be found in a pill bottle, or is it in the power of light? Thanks so much for joining me as we unpack the science today, and hey, here's to a much better night's rest.